Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I had quite a few people asking to share how I do these watercolor spreads on my monthlies. So that's September, and then I did it in August as well. So I'm just going to show you guys how to do that today. There are obviously lots of other videos on YouTube that are probably much better, you know, than what I'm going to show you, but this is just how I do it. So yeah, let's get started. So because I want to print on my monthlies, I always use TomBow river paper to do the watercoloring on, and then I put it through the printer and print on it. But you can actually just do that directly in your Stalogy as well. Otherwise, I'll show you how to do it on, like, this is TomBow river paper. I think this is the thinner one, so the 52 GSM, and I will show you how it works out on just normal like printer paper as well. Not as well, obviously, because it's not, you know, I don't know, the colors don't spread as nicely as they do on TomBow river paper or obviously watercolor paper. So let me show you how it works if you were to do it directly in the Stalogy first. Okay, so I've got a piece of TomBow river paper here, and then I've got these TomBow brush pens. You can actually do this with like Crayola markers or any kind of like brush pen or, you know, coloring pen. And then I've got this spray bottle, but again, you can even just like use your fingers to splatter water on it. You don't need like any fancy tools to do this. And then lastly, this is again the TomBow blending palette, which is just kind of like almost like a laminated piece of plastic, and it's just got all the pen colors on the back. So this is like just a piece of, this is like a divider, so it's just a laminated sheet. This would work exactly the same as that. So the first thing I do is decide which colors I want to use. So I'm going to go for kind of like pinks, purples and blues. The very, very light shades will generally not, you know, turn out very well. You won't be able to see them as well. So even if you're going for a very kind of light color palette, I would choose darker colors. And you'll see that depending on how much of it you use, you can still get a very pale palette. So I think I'll use these. I generally don't really use like more than maybe, you know, 3 or 4 colors. And you can do different layers. So once it's dried, you can, you know, have a look and see whether you like the look of it or if you want to do a second layer as well. Okay, so okay, you want to spray your piece of paper with water, or like I said, you can just kind of splatter it. And okay, and then it will get a bit crinkly and stuff. On your palette thing, you want to kind of just, you know, so I start off with like, you know, just a few different places. Like that. And like I said, you can add more, so don't worry, you know. And then I give that a spray as well. Just a bit of spray there, get that all wet. And then I actually have used like cling film to do this as well when I haven't had my palette. So basically you just kind of lay it flat on top of each other. So you see, you can get, and then if you wanted to kind of create, you know, different effects, you can kind of dab colors off it to get more of a white space. You can, you know, dab it off and redo it. It's very kind of like forgiving. And look, I see here you've managed to get a dark bit. If you don't want that, you kind of just spread it out a bit and then you'll end up with a lighter effect. You can let it run down if you like that kind of look. If you get patches like that where you think it's not really blended properly, just add a bit more water to it. And you can, you know, for example, I'm going to just wipe this clean. And I want a bit more pink in mine. So I'm going to just do a bit of pink. And then, where's my spray bottle? Just a little bit of spray this time because the paper is actually quite wet already. And I'm just going to kind of add a bit of pink to it. And yeah, because I, you know, cut off the edges anyway to fit in my Stylogy, I generally don't do the whole page, but obviously you can. You could let this dry completely and then do a second layer if you wanted, or once it's dried, you can put it through the printer and print on it. So that's basically how I use, how I do my monthlies. And let me just show you. So here you can see like a bit more like kind of droppy effect. So what I did there was I just waited till it was dried and then just dropped like let me try and show you. So like, say if it was dry right now, I just put some brown on there and I just kind of added a few drops like that, so you get like a different layer effect on it. So just play around with it. There's loads of ways, you know, you can kind of layer on top of each other. You can do wet on wet, you know, once it's dry you can do dry on wet. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And let me show you how it turns out in a Stylogy as well. Okay, so here's my Stylogy. I'm not going to add too much water to the paper itself. And I'm just using a few greens and blues for this one. And I'll add a bit of extra water on this. So I don't want the pages to like just soak through. And again, it's the same kind of method. And if you're a bit messy like me, it'll go everywhere. But what you can do is like just have, if you're worried about other pages, you can just put like a piece of paper there so that it kind of doesn't splatter everywhere. But yeah, so that's basically how it looks on a Stylogy. And you know, like I said, you can go in, like if you think it's a bit too much blues, you can add a bit extra green. You could even, like to this one, wait till it dries and add some yellow. Once it is dry, I think this one is dry now, it takes to like any pen. Generally, I've not had any problems writing on this. You do get that lovely kind of crinkly sound once paper is wet, even with the Stylogy. And here where you see like the kind of, you know, a bit more darker kind of drops, that's where there were pools of water. So if you wanted a more of an even finish like this, you would just make sure that, you know, there was not lots of like pools of water or drops of water on the page. Kind of just spread it out or flatten it out, and then you get like a much more smooth finish. Like, let me show you here. So here it's just a little bit more, you know, like kind of smooth, not so many water drops like this. But I kind of actually like the different textures that gives. So yeah, then you can write on here with watercolor pens, brush lettering pens, fountain pens, ballpoint pens, pretty much, you know, gel pens. I've not had, like I said, any trouble writing on this. It's not chalky at all, so like it doesn't come off on your fingers like, you know, I've experienced, like unless you're using liquid watercolors. I don't know, whenever I use watercolors to do something like this, it always comes off, and it's really difficult to write on as well. Yeah, so this I could just pop in my printer and print whatever I wanted on there, you know, like I do with my monthlies. So I will show you one last way, which is on just regular printer paper, just to show you how you don't actually get, I think I might just use the back of this so I don't waste it. Just to show you that you won't get this exactly the same effect, just because it doesn't, you know, watercolor doesn't spread so well on regular paper. Just spray that, and I just use this same palette again. And let me zoom you in a bit. So there you go. Where the paper is kind of a bit wetter, you know, it will spread, but then around the edges you won't get as much of kind of like bleeding. But definitely try it, you know, you might like that kind of effect. See it here, it won't come out as much, it'll kind of just, I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but you can kind of see what I mean. It doesn't, you know, it's not going to look like this basically. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, there are probably lots of other videos showing, you know, better ways of doing this. This is just how I do it, and like I said, you can use pretty much any, you know, marker pens, colouring pens. I have used Crayola. My kids like Crayola marker pens before, no problem. So, and just to show you what it looks like once it's dried on the other side. So you will get like some kind of, I think this is where it came through, but you will get, you know, a little bit of ghosting. It's not going to affect your other pages in terms of the colour won't transfer. If you're obviously worried about that, you know, just put like a piece of plastic or acetate underneath and again here, and then, you know, it's going to guarantee that there'll be no, like the water, you won't get any like water damage on that one. But yeah, as you can see, the paper is, you know, nice and crinkly, and it dries just, you know, perfectly fine. I will show you. So this is just a gel pen, and you can write completely fine with that. And then I have a fountain pen. This is a Lamy Safari. Again, you know, no kind of bleeding, you know, it's just as if you were writing on the paper itself. So thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Bye.